Hey, precious souls, happy 2018. What are you doing today? I'm drinking from my Dalai Lama mug. Isn't that cute? Get it? Dalai Lama? It's funny. My friend gave it to me. Precious souls, we're going to have an amazing year this year. I want to just tell you what I'm doing. I want to keep you up to date. I had so much exciting stuff happen that has really catapulted me into this new year. And even though I didn't get that much sleep last night because I had to watch the Georgia Bulldogs lose to Alabama. Anybody else lose sleep? But I'm back and it's ready to start again and start just looking at what do you want this year? And here's something that I've really had to learn to do. I've been trying to figure out what my next book should really be about. I've started two, and I've been writing one on sacred power that I love, and it's still going to be here for you, and I'm still going to release it. I'm just trying to figure out the form, but I sat down last week and just asked for guidance and was praying, and my guidance that came through was like, Karin, you need to sit down and really pray about what people want. What do they need? Not what do you think is going to do well, not what do you think is going to sell the most, or what, but what do people need? And I'm here to be a conduit. We all are. Those of us, hey Axel, hey Zelda, all of us that are here right now that are raising our hands to do any kind of called work are called to be a conduit for, messages, for healing, for whatever it is. Maybe you paint, maybe you sing, maybe you help kids in the hospital, maybe you're a dog trainer, maybe, you're a parent, maybe you're in charge of a company, maybe you're helping to create new products. Whatever it is that you're here to do, you're here to do something, right? And I'm here to write. I know that. I'm here to teach. I've always done some form of those two things in my life, and it's looked very different as I've grown. But right now, I really know that something really big is turning because I can feel it in my soul, and I know that I'm being called to write a big book. And I've got these great books, but I'm like, something else is calling. And so I had a dear friend here, hi Saman, last week, and she's a very well-known writer, and she's very successful, and she's also a writing coach, and we were talking about it, and she was like, Karin, I really think you need to write your spiritual memoir. And I was just like, and it always scares me because I'm like, first of all, who really cares what's happened in my life? And then I stopped and I was like, that's old thinking. Of course, if I'm called to do it, then it's not up to me who cares or who doesn't care. It's coming from source, and it's coming from God, and it's coming from my angels and my higher self. And I have to follow that because it's part of the calling. And so I am in a space right now, and I'm going to share the journey with you because it feels like the right thing to do. Hey, Sandra. When you are following a calling, it feels good, right? You get excited when you think about it. And so that's how I knew. So I sat down with this idea of doing a memoir, and it would be specifically a spiritual memoir. So what I would be doing would be telling my life's journey, which feels like 10 lives in one. But with each part of the journey, I'm going to talk about the lessons, the spiritual lessons that I've learned and how they've led me to this space. Now, I've done a few talks lately on this, and a lot of it has to do with something that is a fact about me that some of you may not know. I know a few of you listening know me personally, and you know this, but I've actually had 5 last names. And see, I got tripped up even when I wanted to say it just then. I've had 5 last names because I was born to parents that got divorced, and I was Karin Klebe. And then I was adopted by a stepfather who my mom married, and I became Karin Fulford. So I grew up as Karin Fulford, and then I got married to a ball player named Chipper Jones, and I became Karin Jones. And then we got divorced, and I ended up remarrying a guy named Joe Smithson, and Joe and I got divorced. And it's all been, I'm laughing as I'm saying it, and I don't think I've shared this on Facebook Live yet. I've shared it when I've taught my courses, and I've shared it. I think it's actually going to be my TED Talk. Because the final name now that I go by, which is Karin Louise, is actually my last name, and I've dropped all of the last names. And so I kind of want to share with you guys. I was actually going to share something different, but I think I'm going to share this before I tell you what else I was going to tell you. I want to share with you how I got to that last name. Because I surely did not start this life wanting 5 last names. It's actually a place that could be of great shame for me because it does represent divorce and what some people could perceive as failure, which could put me in a place of shame and guilt and regret or any of those that I know now are low vibrational places, but they're places that we go to, right? So here I am, a PhD trained therapist who at one point I had as my byline relationship expert, and I was looking at getting divorced and divorced again. And it took me many years to go ahead and go through with that decision on the second one, because I was really tied to these old paradigms. And, it's the paradigm of shame, and the paradigm that you're not supposed to get divorced, and the paradigm that maybe if you promised in front of God and all your friends, and you're even but if you're in a miserable place, an abusive place, you're not supposed to leave because that means you're not a strong Christian. I don't go by that paradigm anymore. I did for many, many years, and I was miserable. Not trying to shame them, because I know we were all doing the best we can, but the situations became very miserable, and in some instances became very abusive. And I'd seen my mom go through the same thing in her marriages, and she stayed. She actually also got divorced twice, but she stayed for many more years before she ended up doing that. And I'm saying this story because I want those of you to know that have gone through something like this, and thousands of people are going to watch this video. Like, you're not alone. Like, you're not alone when you're facing a big decision and you're afraid. Maybe it's a job change. Maybe it's to have kids or not to have kids, or maybe have kids on your own, or move, or create a new profession that maybe doesn't look at all like what everybody expected of you. There's a lot of fear with these decisions, because we have this course, this flow chart of expectations that, that have been given to us, that have been laid on us, that have been wrapped around us from all these people in our past. And it's not just our family. It's church, it's community, it's the political system, it's a societal system. And we have these expectations. I will speak as a woman, to be, good girls, to follow and support our men. And of course, I believe in supporting men. I love marriage. I've done it twice. I think marriage is great. I'm not against it. I'm not against men. I love men. Some of my favorite clients are men. Men have their own struggle, and for them too, like, there's so much expectation to be a certain way. And what happens when we don't meet these expectations is we go into a place of shame and guilt. And I keep talking about it on here, but shame and guilt vibrationally, there is a scale of vibration where your body resides. You're always vibrating at a minute level. All the cells in your body are. And when you go to a place of shame and guilt, your emotional and spiritual and mental, psychological self vibrates at the lowest point it can vibrate. So when we react to not responding to the expectations that society has for us, our aura, our vibration, our spiritual presence goes down to the lowest point it can, and that is a source of contraction for us. You actually, if so many people can see your aura, can see your glow, if they were measuring it with resonance technology, you would actually look contracted, okay? So I did that for years, and I watched my mom do it for years, and I repeated the pattern, that I was supposed to, be in marriages where I was yelled at, or I was supposed to maybe be in a profession that where I followed a lot of rules. Becoming a psychologist has a lot of rules. There's ethical standards, which are amazing. They need them. And, but here I found myself finding this whole new place of spirituality, and this was another choice that could have brought shame for me. I entered this new field of all this stuff started opening up for me, and a lot of it didn't follow the things as far as practicing goes that I was taught as a professional licensed psychologist, or excuse me, a psychotherapist. And I really struggled with feeling ashamed of breaking free of that set of rules that I kind of pledged to follow. But it's okay, because here's the deal. Those people love me. Like, it's not that anyone is judging anybody. We end up judging ourselves, okay? If anyone's judging you, that is a reflection of them, by the way. And when we judge ourselves, we contract. So here I am going through my life. I'm talking, those of you that just joined, I'm talking about how I just made the decision to write a spiritual memoir. And I was saying how I've had 5 last names, and what a place of shame it could be for me. And I'm talking about society's stereotypes and expectations that come and get put on us as we mature, and as our family tells us, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, you'll feel bad about this, don't speak too loudly about that. I was taught so much, and the church, God love them, it was just very black and white, and it was very much based on, yes, a relationship with God, and I'm so grateful for the relationship that I learned to have with the Holy Spirit. I was raised Church of God, but there was so much so much energy placed on judgment and revelation, and you're going to be left behind if you're not a good girl, and I was always walking around in fear. So you carry these old paradigms into your adult life, and you can carry them and hold them and reside in places that are always about looking for perfectionism, and always about Sean just left a message. Thank you, that's beautifully said. Yep, I love law of attraction. I'm obsessed with law of attraction. This is what's changed my life. Back to center, let me think. So we can make a choice to follow the flow chart of expectation. Do you meet the expectation? Yes, maybe not. If it's a no, you're not meeting it perfectly, then we tend to go to a place of shame and guilt. And I was living in that cycle of trying to please everybody but myself for decades, for 2 marriages where I was like silenced, and in some of them I was abused, I was being stolen from, I was being harassed. I mean, I went through so much, but also I look back and you know what? It was also my choice to stay. And so we have responsibility for where we were, where we are. And, we can choose to be in a miserable situation. I know when you have kids involved and all that, and this is not just about divorce. This is about refusing to stay in a place where you're going to be miserable and you're going to feel guilty and you're going to feel shame. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, you're just right. The inner self. There's so much I want to share. I can't get to all of it. I'm trying because my mind's going a million directions. When I open this can of worms, a million little worms come crawling out. So yes, thank you for saying inner self, Lynn, because that's exactly, I'm sorry, yes, Sean had said up here before about thoughts becoming things. You're exactly right. So when we feel ashamed and we're telling our inner self, you need to be shamed, we're actually drawing more experiences into our life that are shame rendering, okay, or guilt rendering. But when we tell ourselves, which is where I got when I had my spiritual awakening several years ago, and all the life lessons this is why I'm going to write a memoir, because every lesson I see now led me to the point where I was finally ready and ripe to have that awakening, to where I understood Christ consciousness more, and I understood that, yes, Lynn, my inner self, Christ, God, whoever you believe, the universe, the power of the creator, the divine is inside each one of us. Hey, Linda, oh, Nova Scotia, cool. The power of the creator is inside of us, okay? So when we're doing that, we're saying to the power of the universe, you should be ashamed. And it's contracting that light that we have in us that should be glowing. But instead, when we say, this is what I say all the time, I'm doing the best I can. I look back, would I change any of it? There are a few things I wish I had paid attention to more, but I honestly wouldn't change any of it because it would not have gotten me to the place where I am right now. And I don't live life with regret. I'm not blaming anybody. Everybody that was around me, I had a spiritual agreement that they were going to be brought into my life, even though I didn't know with this human mind that they were being brought in for spiritual lessons. They were, and I had to break old patterns, not only patterns that I had been practicing for decades in my life, but patterns that my mom had been practicing, that my grandmother had been practicing, and that had been generationally passed down. And so I chose to be in relationships where, I believed I shouldn't have a voice. I believed I should be in an abusive situation. I believed that women, shouldn't have the position of power. So I was agreeing to relationships with men, and even men I didn't marry, men I dated, where I was like stifled. Many times I would actually lose my voice. I had bronchitis for years in my last marriage, and your throat chakra will react when you're not speaking up, and a lot of times you'll develop coughs and bronchitis. And I was so physically sick for so long. It took such a toll on my body. And so those of you that get sick a lot, I just want to say pay attention. Check out Louise Hay's work on You Can Heal Your Body, and she talks about specifically spiritual reasons for physical ailments. It's so freaking cool. I'm saying that because it manifests in your body, okay? When we're following this old paradigm, and the reason I'm talking about this is because I'm creating coursework around this, and the reason I'm going to write this book is because I want to show what happens as we're agreeing to this old paradigm of guilt and shame and suffering. How many of you were taught that you can't have fun until you suffer for a long time? Like, all work and no play. Not all work and no play. No pain, no gain, right? That's the big saying. And I get that with workouts and whatever, but no, life is not supposed to be about you have to go through pain to get gain. You're actually not here you were sent here vibrationally to be a happy being, to be a being that had abundance in his or her life. You were sent here. Oh, good, Linda. Yeah, I love Louise Hay's work. I'm sorry, you guys. So I'm getting comments up on my feed. You guys can see them. So I'm going to comment as I'm going. You were put here to be a being of abundance, of a big light, of receiving the things that you desire. And you'll know the desires are right. So this is how I know writing my memoir is right, is your feelings, okay? So it all goes back to the way you feel. Your feelings are your spiritual GPS, all right? Your feelings will tell you when you are in alignment with part of your calling, with your soul's purpose, with who you are as an authentic being, because you will start to get like that rush of, oh my God, that feels so good, that excitement. Now, fear may try to jump in, But if you're feeling excited and good about something, that is your soul lining up with source and with your authentic self. And it says, this is good. Now, if you feel contraction, like if something feels heavy and you can feel like that is your soul, again, through your feelings, through your neurological system, through your neurotransmitters, your whole body's in on this, telling you this is not right. This doesn't line up with who we are as our authentic being. And I've taught myself how to do this. I can do it in like 2 seconds. I'll just sit down and I'll just say, should this book come out first, or should I be going this way? And I'll just check. And if I feel, it feels like a heaviness, almost like a weight drops into my gut. And then when I say, should I turn this way? Should I write this book? Like I get like it's almost like a welling up. So when my friend said to me, I really want you to write a spiritual memoir, I was like, and the more I thought about it, I swear to God, you guys, my heart was beating so fast. My spirit was fluttering. Like it was so exciting. And I knew like I have to do this. So I haven't even called my agent to tell her about this yet. I'm telling you guys first. So I started writing it, but I will tell you, like, it is going to be, okay, I don't want to predict anything hard because I know my words are, oh, thanks, Sandra. Oh, one of my old friends is on here. Our words are very powerful. So here's what I know, and I'm going to teach you guys this in the creative process. Whenever you're creating anything, like right now, I almost said, I know it's going to be really, really difficult for me to write. So if I go ahead and say this to you and I dwell on that belief, I am actually creating a difficult writing situation for myself because I'm expanding the belief that things, again, are supposed to be hard before I get a payout, okay? So I want you to practice this too in all the things that you're creating because I know you're all creators. I'm going to say instead, I'm going to learn and grow so much through this. And this is what I'm practicing. I'm saying the words are going to come to me easily. I'm going to like share this process with you guys. I want you guys to share your processes with me. I want to write the book with you guys. That I'm going to say, I'm going to find clarity because a lot of the issues I am afraid of in writing a memoir is like, I hate to say legal issues, but it will be legal issues because there's some pretty drastic stuff that has happened in my life. Some that has been illegal that people have done to me, a great deal of it actually, a lot that's been really abusive. And I am really struggling with how honest to be about that because it's no secret who I've been married to, and I'm holding a lot of secrets. And I know, so as I'm saying this, I'm going to tell you what's coming up for me in spirit, which is, it is your intention, Karin, and this is for you guys too. So it's all about the place of intention you come from. I would not intend, it makes me want to cry to even say this, like I would not intend to shame anybody. I don't want to shame anyone from my past. I don't want to shame any of my abusers or any of that. It's happened since I was a child. They're all actually still alive, everyone that has perpetrated on me. And I would not want to, because I know I've been listening to Paul Selig a lot lately, and part of what he teaches is you can't be the light if you hold another in darkness. So, my intent would never be to shame. It would only be to help other people, because the odds are, even, with the few people that are here now, there will be thousands of people that watch this later, that a large percentage of you, probably at least a third, have been in abusive situations. And for women, it's probably more than half. And men too, I'm not trying to leave you guys out because I know you guys, I have so many men that come to me with stories. But I have like a fear that's coming up around how much of that to share. So I'm going to be walking through that journey with you, and I'm actually going to hire a writing team to help me decipher through that, because I think so much of the importance, I look at, like Cheryl Strayed wrote her book Wild, and she was really honest, and part of the journey is talking about the pain and the affliction. I don't want to dwell in that because I don't want to increase the energy around old pain, because I'm always preaching against that. But I think for everyone to understand me, I really kind of want to go back and talk about the journey, because here's like the really good news. Okay, so like growing up in the Church of God, I don't align anymore with so much of the black and white teaching that they do, and a lot of it, it's okay. I mean, God love them. They're saving souls all over the world, but I am grateful. So here's what I also want you to do when you reflect back, whether you're going to write a story or just when you think about your past. If you can just pull out the pieces you're grateful for, it will expand the emotion around that, which will end up eclipsing like the pain from anything that hurt you. So like for me with the church, even though some great pain actually came out of some of the experiences I had there. And I was just talking to Kyra about this the other day. She's on here. She works with me. Thank you. Is that I'm super grateful for my experience in the Church of God. And it was a super charismatic church and the fact that I was taught to have a personal relationship with the Holy Spirit and with God and with Jesus, and we didn't have to go through anybody to talk to them. And my mom, who ended up becoming a minister later, she became a Presbyterian minister because Church of God wouldn't ordain women. But I was really taught to tap in the Holy Spirit. I mean, we had speaking in tongues going on. People were dancing up and down the aisles. I mean, you saw miracles happen. You saw demons being cast out. And I mean, you saw it from being a kid, and you would feel the Holy Spirit. And so I learned how to sense the Holy Spirit. Now, I see it in a different way, but I know the Holy Spirit showed up 100% for sure. What I have regret about is that so much was taught around blame and condemnation. Like, I don't agree with that anymore, because the God that I know, the Bible, I think, is incredible, but there's a lot of mistranslation, and Jesus was all about love. Jesus was all about us also being sons and daughters of God. He actually never asked to be worshiped. He just wanted people to follow the word which is inside of each of us, the word which is God, the word which we all possess, which is the light in us. He didn't mean for himself to be exclusive. That's a whole nother taping. I'm going to get off that soapbox. But it wasn't my point is, it wasn't about a separateness. It was about a oneness and a unity with divinity. And we all have that. And so as I'm going to be writing, and I've already started, and as I'm doing the courses, I'm going to show you in a minute, I'm talking about dropping these shrouds, these blankets, these binds of shame and guilt and expectation to be perfect and expectation to fulfill everyone else's needs around you before yourself, because that only puts you in a place of never living up to it, right? And of being tired and of being resentful and feeling ashamed or guilty when you don't do it, and shooting yourself to death, right? Instead of just being happy for the little victories. Right now I'm working on, and I'm sharing it with you guys all the time, like, we're supposed to be happy, we're supposed to be having fun. And so my life coach, who I get to interview tomorrow on my show, her name is Lisa McCardle. Look her up, MCCARDLE. She's amazing. She's an intuitive. She's a life coach. She's changed my life. And the first thing she says when we get on the phone every time is, what can we celebrate? Before I'm allowed to dive into what I want to bitch about, she says, what can we celebrate? And so I stop and I pause for a moment. So I want you to do that right here with me. And if there's anything that you want to share, please stick it up there on my feed. What can you celebrate? So I stop and I think, even through all of my life experiences, even the pain, even like sometimes when I'm like super tired, like today, or, I look back over the last week and maybe there was some really shitty stuff that happened. I'm like, what can I celebrate? Let's just stop for a minute. What can you celebrate? So I'm going to celebrate that, okay, even though the Georgia Bulldogs lost, here's a good one. I know you're not all Bulldog fans, but we had the championship game last night. We watched. We were devastated at the end when we lost, but it's like, okay, once the dust clears, what can we celebrate? You know what? We freaking made it to the game. We got to enjoy the expanded oneness, the celebration of being at a game. I didn't go to the game. I watched it at home with my family, but had this beautiful memory with my family. We got this whole city here. Oh, my battery's running low. I can't be on here for too long. This city got to feel this energy that was so beautiful. Everyone came together. There's a oneness around sporting events that, since I was married to an athlete, I know I'm rambling, I'm so tangential, but you guys just hang in there. I know you want to hear this because it's neat. I was married to an athlete, Chipper Jones, who played with the Atlanta Braves. We were together for 10 years, and we were married for 7, about somewhere in there. Anyway, I was with him for 10 seasons, and when we got divorced, it was so painful for me to go to a sporting event because it was well publicized. He was extremely unfaithful. There was also a lot of abuse happening at home, and it was so traumatic for me to go to games because I found out later that, like, girlfriends were in the stands, and I didn't know it, and I was really humiliated. And we had a really public marriage, and I was on TV a lot back then. This is back in the 90s when the Braves won the World Series, and I really put myself out there, and I really was trying to be this like perfect wife. I was holding the Bible study for the team. I started the Braves Family Foundation, yada yada yada. This is a perfect example. Like, I was creating. I was trying to create this perfect life and this perfect image because everyone expected so much from me. You guys, people that are in a celebrity status, I know it's really hard to have empathy for them, but I can't explain to you how much compassion I have for them when they're in situations like the one I was in, because honest to God, it was the most isolated I ever felt in my life because there was so much expectation for me to be a certain way. And Money does not, this is what I told everybody. When the lights go off, it doesn't matter if you're in a mansion or if you're in a trailer. When those lights go out, you're in the dark and you're in the same exact place as everybody else. And if you're sleeping next to somebody that is causing you pain, no amount of money can save that. And I was so isolated. We struggled for many years before. And actually, I didn't even file for divorce. He had to file because he was actually already with somebody who was expecting. But you're getting some juicy details today. But it's what happened. It's publicized. I'm not telling you anything that wasn't in the news. My point in telling you all of that was I was trying to create a life that looked perfect on the outside, and I was freaking dying on the inside. I was so isolated. And it took me so many years later to learn that it doesn't matter what other people think, that what I need to do is to stop and say, what does my inner being want? What does Karin want? Like what, and this is what I want for you guys too. Like what's going to fire you up? What's going to make your heart sing? I wonder what I was getting at. But back then, when that marriage ended, I was talking about the game. I'm sorry. I'm all over. I had a little too much coffee. I'm sorry. The Dalai Lama said, stop drinking coffee. Okay. Is that I couldn't go back to the games because there was so much trauma for me. And now that I ended up studying and getting a doctorate, and I studied trauma a lot because I wanted to understand. The reason I went and got my doctorate, mostly, besides the fact that I wanted some letters after my name, was that I wanted to understand more about what I'd been through because I was so traumatized, not only by him, but by the abuse I suffered as a young girl. And I was like frozen. And later I realized that I had PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, to where like I couldn't go back to those environments that had caused me pain because it would re-trigger me so much. So like the stadium, and I know this may sound crazy to you guys, but it's my truth. And maybe, you guys know if you were abused in a home, you don't want to go, I don't want to go drive back by that home. If you saw a car crash or saw somebody, I've seen someone die before, and I can't go back to that space because it reminds me, right? It triggers our soul. So that's how I felt. Like I was so traumatized around the stadium that I couldn't go to sporting events I didn't go to sporting events from like 2000 up until I had boys. And this is going to make me like cry because, all of a sudden I got to see the sports in a whole different way, and it didn't represent trauma and betrayal. Like I felt so betrayed by that team, even though they didn't know they were doing anything to me. But, when we are left in a love situation, when we're left in a relationship, the amount of pain we feel represents the amount of investment we made, right? And, the pain continues because what was supposed to happen based on your investment, you kind of keep going through, as the seasons pass. Well, this was supposed to happen and this was supposed to happen and you were supposed to have kids or you were supposed to have Christmas or whatever it is. And those of you that have lost love, like you totally know, right? Whether it was from death or divorce or separation or whatever. And I kept reliving, and there was so much in there. I'm not going to go into all of it or any of it because it's so much, but so much was going on with the Braves over the years and with the sports here. And I'm from Atlanta, and I mean, they actually put a Chipper Jones billboard up right outside my condo, my townhouse when I moved into Buckhead, which I moved away from our old neighborhood. I moved into Buckhead, and like 3 months later, there was a giant billboard of him every time I pulled out of my townhouse. And I would literally just be like, and his face was everywhere. I mean, it wasn't his fault. That's what they were doing to promote him because he was the best player on the team. It would traumatize and re-trigger me. So I dove into school and I learned about PTSD. And so then, fast forward all these years later, I still stayed away from sporting events. Every now and then a girlfriend would get me to go, but I think it was only maybe twice. And I had 2 sons. And one whom is extremely obsessed with sports, my little Hoyt. And all of a sudden I started experiencing them through him. And I ended up finding a love for sports that I haven't had, and I really missed it, but I just couldn't go back to it. But now with Hoyt and with my other son West and even my daughter Elise too, like this year I've been obsessed with sports. If any of you follow me on Instagram, if you don't, I'm on Dr.Karin, at Dr.Karin on Instagram. Please follow me there. I share a lot more personal stories there, but I love them now. I was obsessed with the World Series this year. I was obsessed with the Astros. I was just obsessed with the Georgia game, the Falcons. I don't even honestly care what team it is. If I can connect, like the Astros had some players on the team this past year that I could really connect to their stories. And if I can connect to the passion that's going on and connect to the passion that's happening with the team, like I have been so healed of that trauma. And it did take me, a decade, 2 decades, whatever that was. But I'm here to tell you and to share with you my path through and out of trauma, out of resentment, out of carrying a pain, out of living my life for everybody else, out of being ashamed that I've had so many last names. I'll share with you in another video what happened when I changed my last name to Louise, because it's a freaking badass story. And God showed up in ways that are like going to blow you away. It's in some of my teachings right now, and I love the story. But I've been talking way too long, so I'm going to jump off here in a minute. But I did want to share with you guys, I'm all touched. Like, I'm about to start really crying right now. Those of you that are here, thank you for being with me. I know so many of you that come on here, just some of you through personal relationships, some of you through just Facebook. And I'm so grateful, like the connection we have. And I appreciate you saying, like Felicia just put up a statement about, just being like real, and I appreciate it. I want to attract people around me that are real and that are ready to get raw and that are ready to share it, because we're all holding it. You guys, I'm a therapist. I know now. I call myself a life coach because I am so like way out here doing my own thing, but we're all carrying it. It's like trapped in our throat. It's trapped in our chest. I want to help you guys like release it like I have. Find a place where you can fire up your spirit to know that you deserve fun and freedom and the clarity that I have found, breaking free from all that was in the past. I'm not bound by that anymore. I've had relapses every now and then. You know, I've sometimes will find myself in the old patterns, but they're nowhere near as long. And when I see them, I can see them much more clearer. And I don't sit in pain as long as I used to. I found a way through spiritual guidance and spiritual connection to really heal from a spirit a spirit heart-centered place that I didn't heal from before. Before I was trying to heal from a mind place, which is like impossible because your mind will screw with you. All right, I want to show you guys here real quick on my, it's probably going to be backwards for you guys, but here is my new website, which is, I'm so excited about. So it's at drkarin.com, DOCTORKARIN.com. We put some videos up here. I'm all choked up, excuse me. And then look, I'm offering these things, and this is what I want to share with you. So I'm looking forward to doing a lot more public speaking. I actually have 3 TV interviews coming up in the next 2 months, and I'm super excited about that. I want to come to your town, so I'm just putting it out there. I really want to speak at more big events. I've done many of them in the past, but now I'm open to doing more. I have a masterclass, a mastermind, which is going to totally and completely blow you away. It's a huge, life-changing, transformational course. I'll get to that later another time. I want to show you this about my Break the Rules Challenge. It's just for women, but it is it's about everything I just was talking about with you guys about breaking out of the old paradigm. So what I do is I shoot into your inbox a challenge once a month. And, oh yeah, Linda, you're totally right. Yeah, you're exactly right. Because they do try to sneak back in, right? Because sometimes we attract them again. But then once you see them, here's what I do is I say, I don't do that. No, thank you. I'm not ordering off of that menu anymore. No. And I pull myself out of it. And I have to sometimes block people in love. I have to take numbers out of my phone. I mean, so I know you girls know what I'm talking about. So anyway, here is the Break the Rules Challenge. It says, be fierce. It's a monthly program to turn into a spiritual badass. I'm actually cussing, which, by the way, is breaking a huge rule in every community and I grew up in. I've actually already gotten messages from some adult friends of mine who have already tried to shame me for cussing on Facebook. And I just write them back and I just say, well, yes, well, this is the point. I am breaking the rules, and the resonance of those words don't bother me. If they bother you, I'm sorry. You know, I will pay attention to what people need, but it's part of, honestly, me like claiming my power back, because I was always told you're a bad girl if you cuss like that. And actually, I think it's much more culturally okay right now. Like, I don't even think badass is considered a bad word, except for in Atlanta. But, you know, for me, it's an empowerment thing. For me, it's like, oh, yes, I can say it. And maybe in a year, I'll be like, I'm not cussing anymore. Who knows? But right now, it makes me feel powerful. So that's why I'm doing it. So that's like stuff for you. I want you guys to find things that, you know, make you feel good. So, here's what's great. I put warning. This is so awesome. I say, warning, others might not like the new you. They will protest. They will ask, what has gotten into you? They will ask who the hell you think you are. And I'm like, blah, ha, ha, exactly. And then they will demand that you go back to being the old you. But by that point, there will be no turning back. You will realize that once you fire up your sacred power and raise your vibration to new levels, there's absolutely no freaking way you're ever going back. So I provide you with a bunch of stuff on that Break the Rules challenge. And so you can sign up for it. It's, I think we have it for, I think it's $69.99, and there are payment plans. It's for a whole year. My other program, I actually offer one-on-one coaching and things like that, and it's a lot pricier, but the value is like 3 times on both of these as far as the time that you're going to get. You're going to get videos, you're going to get ebooks, and this is all about letting go of the resistance that are about old paradigms and getting into the new ones. And I think my time is running up. I'm just babbling today. I was just in the mood to talk to you guys. I need to go write part of my book. Okay, so here's what where I want you to find me. I just started putting more things on my YouTube channel. Please, I've got to get that my subscribers up there, because I am doing all this so when my book is ready to go out, when my proposal's done, I can get a really good book contract, and they want to look at all the followers and subscribers. And so I hate asking for this. I'm not good at sales. I'm a creative mind. It makes me extremely uncomfortable, but I'm trying to lean into being more of an entrepreneur here. So, okay, I'm going to change that terminology around. It makes me uncomfortable because I just created an uncomfortable prediction for asking for support and help. I'm going to say it actually makes me excited because I have opportunity to let you guys help me. And we're all paying it back to each other. I'm trying to give you a lot of free material, and I would love for you to support me. It would mean so much. So please go to my YouTube channel. It's under Dr. Karin, Karim. Just Google it and look it up. I'm going to be adding a video every few days. You can see a bunch of teaser clips from my show. So I also have the Dr. Karin show at thelightersidenetwork.com. I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but I do need support on the YouTube channel. We also do need support at thelightersidenetwork.com. My show is incredible. I love it. I talk to so many people that give so much wisdom to transform your life. It's a simple subscription there, and I promise you guys it is so worth it. Not just for me, but the other people that have shows on that network. It's amazing. You just have to go and just look. You'll be blown away. And if you're ready to get fired up, please look at this Break the Rules challenge. I would love to get some of you involved because it is like my baby, and it took me so much prayer and work, and I go into spirit when I'm creating these things. So I'm praying and I'm meditating, and I'm just like writing down what comes to me. So yes, I'm the conduit, and yes, I'm part of the creation process, but so much of this is divine. And so those of you, thanks Sandra, thanks you guys, those of you who are ready to up level and that connect with me, you're going to love the stuff comes through. And with each one of these courses, we're creating an online community so you guys can compare stories between each other. So go to my YouTube channel, please, I need the support. Those of you that are praying people, I would love some prayers over direction as I write this book, and just stay connected because I'm going to walk this process with you. Okay, you guys are so awesome for being here. I am just so blessed and humbled by, look, I'm about to cry again. I'm so tearful today. Thank you, Felicia. You guys are so great. I am so tearful today for all of the support that is here. I just feel such a transformation and a transition coming, and I feel it for all of you. You're here for a reason. You guys are obviously connecting with me for a reason, because you're hopefully want a transformation too, and all we have to do is allow it, right, and ask for the support that we need. So thank you so much. It will all be paid back to you. I do believe we get it back tenfold. All right, love you guys. Remember, always follow your heart. That's when you know you're going the right direction. Have a great day, you guys. Peace.